Welcome one and all to the Back of the Nest preview podcast. I'm your host Terence Ford, and tonight it's just Sam Hesketh with me as we build you up to Leicester City's trip to Selhurst, where Palace will be looking to take advantage of the Foxes' mixed early season form. Hesketh, Albert is missing MIA because of a power cut in his house.
Yeah, and he did the unfortunate thing of sending a message to
The butler?
To the butler, yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what kind of help he calls them, but he sent the message to us by mistake. So we've seen the real Albert, the real master of the house, showed his true colours. So I hope everyone who is employed in the Curly mansion is having a nice evening.
Yes, I hear the servants' wings can be very dark and dingy at times.
There's been a power cut in their wing because he's had enough of them.
They just have to sleep in the little tunnel that he has under the ground that goes straight into Vicarage Road. Right, anyway, my throat is really raspy, so let's do some of this.
I'm thirsty. I want a beer. What about you? You want a beer?
I don't know why that thing's on loop. It's like changed. It used to just play once. Now it plays on loop. I'm just trying to stop it. So after last week's shit beer, which was shit, and people on Twitter have been talking about how shit it was as well. So I know I'm not alone. I've gone big with a Daya this week. Steady rolling man pale ale. Like, this brewery does never disappoint. So looking forward to it.
What the hints of flavour?
Hang on, I'm just pouring it out. It's what we got on here. What's the word? Steady rolling man, our pale ale, inspired by the ridiculously tasty hoppy beers we fell for. We got brewing our own versions over and over again while listening to the blues greats. The heady concoction of old-time blues records and juicy American hops transfixed us from the start, and a steady rolling man was born in these sessions. Incredibly soft and delicate with intense tropical fruit, hop aromatics and saturation. This is our vision of the perfect pale ale.
Wow.
So,
I mean, I hope you enjoy it after that build-up.
It sounds amazing.
For people who obviously can't see you at the moment, you do have a big grin on your face.
I'm buzzing. That beer's always incredible. Right, here goes. Yeah, perfection. It is.
Yeah.
They did not lie. The blurb did not lie. The perfect pale ale. I mean, what are you drinking?
I can't compete. I can't compete with that description. I'm drinking a little Red Stripe Stubby, as per, and this just says, since 1928, Red Stripe has embodied the spirit, rhythm, and pulse of Jamaica and its people. Bang.
Perfect. Concise. To the point.
Yes, exactly.
We tasked Albert weeks ago with doing the beer blurbs for players who play for both clubs, and he's just knocked it up in a second last week and gone for Glen Murray, which I thought was bang out of order.
Yeah, unbelievable.
and this week he's off with a power cut, ain't even done one. So I've done one, however.
Right. So
you ready?
We're playing Leicester. So Obviously it has to be a player that's played for both clubs. So who have you gone for?
Well, I've gone for Jeff Schlupp. There was a lot of interesting options on this one. We could have had Adi Akinbaye would have been a good option.
Very good.
Good, yeah, lots of material there, I think, to go for. Less so players like Ryan McGiven. yeah, really niche one there. What was he?
Yeah.
Left back for about 6 games, wasn't he? He actually did all right, didn't he? Wasn't that bad?
Yeah, he was all right. My immediate thought was, for some reason, Paul Dickov. So
it was my second choice, Paul Dickov, because of the obvious. James Scowcroft nearly got a go, but I couldn't because of personal information I know about him. I thought I'd just leave that alone.
Hopefully this is not another Stefan Everson conversation.
No, it's not quite Stefan Everson levels, but I just didn't go there. So I've gone for Jeffrey Schlupp.
All right.
Although I haven't named it, so you can name it after this. I just realised I haven't named it, so you can name it after the blurb.
Okay.
A German Weiss beer with a Ghanaian noni fruit twist. This one-of-a-kind beer is running away from the competition. Whether schlupped with currywurst or fufu, this diverse beer will never sour your kraut.
Very good.
It's a beer for attacking the day, drinking in the middle of the park with friends, and one you'll always fall back on.
God, that's actually legitimately quite good. That's annoying. I was hoping to be able to give you some stick, but that's actually quite good.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is where you need Albert to rinse you for something.
I mean, I'm not even sure what noni fruit is. I've never had it before. I've had fufu before, but not noni fruit. But apparently synonymous with Ghana.
Great. I must admit to not being Ghanaian, so I know that will come as a shock to most people listening. But well, I'm sure it's delicious. And now you put me on the spot to think of a name, and I was going to say sup on schlup, but you put a schlurp in the description, so I feel like I've already been toppled.
Well, we can perhaps ask listeners to come back with a name for it on. If you're listening, tweet us at Back of the Nest and tell us what the Jeffrey Schlupp beer should be called. We're going to kick off this week with something you've brought up. Getafe are on mission Crystal Palace, apparently.
Yeah, I am. I do have to admit that I'm going off what some people replied to the tweet because I don't speak Spanish.
Well, I've translated it. There's a very handy button on Twitter that says translate tweet.
I don't have time for that.
It says, we have a mission.
Go for it.
Together with you, we will achieve it. You did it, CPFC. Now it's time for us.
So that's quite good. A little bit mysterious, I suppose, unless you know that Getafe are doing pretty horribly in La Liga. Essentially, they've lost their first 7 games of the season. So they're already doing a Palace, which is good. But I think they're taking inspiration from us losing 7 games and staying up. Obviously, the only problem with that is we have to let them know that Roy Hodgson is still available. So maybe he'll need to go and hang out in Getafe.
But it feels strange because obviously Getafe is Vicente Guaita's last club. That's who we signed him from.
Yep.
They did all right last season. I'm sure like the last couple of seasons they've been doing all right. I was very shocked when you said this to see it. But they have scored 2 goals, so they're not that dreadful.
Yeah, in my head they're like a sort of underdog punching above their weight, but always doing all right. I'm just, as we speak, on their Wikipedia, and apparently they finished 15th out of 20 last year, so not quite.
It was a season before. They were definitely up and about the European places for the whole season. I'm sure they were. So, it just surprised me. But I've just less and less with each passing season pay attention to La Liga, to be honest. And take a look at what's Barcelona in 6th or something at the moment, aren't they? It's like falling apart.
Who would have thought Ronald Koeman as manager would have been a bad move, eh?
Yeah. I'm sure there's some people would have said they would have liked him at Palace at some point. But
God, I'm sure. Maybe Roy will go Barcelona. That'd be good.
Yeah, shore up the defence.
Yeah.
I mean, they've lost their first 2 European games 3-0, haven't they? I mean, understandable to Munich. They can beat anyone at any given point. But 3-0 to Benfica is a bit of a shock for Barcelona standards. But
yeah, not looking good. They're not the best team that play in red and blue anymore, are they? So
no, that's AFC Richmond from the programme Ted Lasso. Have you watched it?
I do watch it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, me and the missus have binged it all over the last week. Shocked how much I enjoyed it. It's genuinely really good.
I think a lot of it when we started watching it, I was just ready to be like, "Oh, Americans don't know anything about football. This is ridiculous." Yeah. But it's so like upbeat without being annoying. You know what I mean? And it's always good to see Selhurst in it, even if it's Richmond's ground or whatever. The Greyhound track. The Greyhound track, yeah.
Nelson, was it called Nelson Road?
Nelson Road, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was. There's a couple of bits of just annoying things. I'm so miserable. I'm a bit like you, just always like, instead of I enjoyed 98% of it, but Roy Kent going on his big rant about why everything's crap and then calling changing rooms locker rooms really bugged me because in the same episode he was correcting them for saying 0-0 and telling them it should be 0-0.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really enjoyed the show. I mean, I'm assuming Roy Kent's based on Roy Keane, right?
Fuck, I didn't.
Did you not think that?
It probably is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't. I know. Well, anyway, if you haven't watched Ted Lasso, highly recommend it. Very, very good show. Not just because Selhurst Park's in it all the time and things like that, but it's just generally like heartfelt. It's an all around nice show, isn't it? And like tackles a lot of prominent issues as well.
It does, and it's wholesome, which normally wouldn't be my thing at all, because obviously I'm miserable and hate everything.
Yeah, wholesome whilst trying to carry kind of dark undertones. It's really clever how it does that. This is the Back of the Nest TV preview show now. Oh, right. I don't know what else have we got. I want to talk about falling in love with loan players, because I think some people are far gone already with Conor Gallagher, and it's understandable because the guy's it's just Palace written all over him, but with this added extra level of quality that we've not been used to. It's kind of like it, that the first time you saw Johan Gabay play for Palace, and you then realise that he actually runs all over the park and puts himself about. You just, wow, this is what we love in a Palace player, but he's actually got quality to him, and it's the same with Gallagher. Oh,
yeah, 100%. I think as well, when we were being linked with him again over the summer, I was like, yeah, I'm all right to get him in. I don't seem to be as excited as some other people. And my West Brom mate was like, yeah, he's good. And I think this is because Allardyce had him playing, obviously, a bit more of a sort of stopper than anything. But I wasn't like massively excited. I thought good to get a younger player in. But I'm one of these people that's in love with the lone player already. I mean, so many times during the game on Monday when he was like haring down on the goalie, haring down on the centre half, so I was just like, fuck, he's so good. I just love him. Like, especially like 2 or 3 times he sort of got so close to the goalie that he was like sliding in and almost got the ball. And
that one when he forced to kick it into touch. Excellent.
It's just brilliant. And yeah, like you say, it's sort of he's so dynamic a player. And I think as Palace fans, you like players who put a shift in. Everyone likes James McArthur. Not that he's not a good player, but you like him because he's sort of running around everywhere. And Gallagher's like that, younger, he's already scored goals. So winning his second fan-voted player of the month wasn't really a massive shock either, was it?
No. I mean, before we carry on with loan players, James McArthur's got a bit niggly with that captain's armband, isn't he? He's taking it very seriously and kicking off quite a lot.
Yeah, my favourite bit in the game to do with that was when the ball was kicked out because one of their players was injured. The sub who got subbed, and normally you just give the ball back to him, but McArthur really heavily told Mitchell to throw it to him and then punted it off for a goal kick. Yeah. And because he was facing the Homesdale as he did it, the face that he made was just like, fucking get on with it. Like, he looked so angry when he did it.
Yeah, Shane Duffy was well pissed off with that as well, wasn't he? I mean, if the only thing that could have made it truly better was if he put it out for a throw by the corner flag and then we boxed them in.
Yeah, that would have been absolutely brilliant. But yeah, like you say, I mean, Jimmy's great anyway, but he really does seem to be even more of an on-pitch leader than normal at the moment, which is great.
Yeah, and he is excellent. A friend of mine who started coming this season for the first time got a season ticket. I didn't know he had this in his locker. Like, I just didn't know he could play this style of football. And it's just like, well, Roy's just used him differently. He's always been a player that can do a lot. Like, he's certainly not one-dimensional. And I think he's been doing really, really well in there. But falling in love with loan players, what about in the past? Which ones in the past have you been sad that we never managed to keep?
Well, one of the first loan players that we had that I really liked a long time ago was Paul Stewart. He didn't play for us for that long, really, and I think he might have got injured during his loan spell, but he came in and he was absolutely brilliant in the early 90s. Another one that springs to mind is Kenny Brown.
Yes.
I know that a friend of the show, Cole Davies, will like that because he's always talking about him. What other loan play? We've had so many. We did go for a period under Warnock in the 2000s where we had about 73 loan players in the squad.
Loads of centre-backs. I just remember loads of centre-backs.
Yeah.
Paul McShane, Andrew Davies.
Yeah.
Like, sort of just people like that. I mean, talking of Paul McShane scored a winner against Palace for Brighton in the mid-2000s and seemed to win most Palace fans over during his loan spell, just for wearing his heart on his sleeve in that sense.
I remember that goal he scored for Brighton was in the centenary year, and my mum came to that game and I banned her from Selhurst for like 10 years because I was pissed off about it.
Made the right decision.
Yeah, and then she's come back since and seen us win, so it's fine. The hoodoo is over.
And of course, Ashley Cole was...
oh, of course. How did I forget Ashley Cole?
Yeah, scoring that goal in that game against Blackburn. Yeah, we were never keeping him though. England's leading all-time appearances, most FA Cup wins. Like, he's pretty much done it all
because of us. That's what we're saying. So obviously, keeping Gallagher's going to be tough. But if Chelsea said 25, 30 million now, would you pay it?
Well, I would, and I think most Palace fans would say they would, and I'm sure Palace would. But he's made it very clear that he wants to get a place in the Chelsea team. Maybe, just maybe, him seeing that he's only rated as 74 on FIFA might bring him down a notch. Now, if you haven't seen this, the Palace official YouTube channel has released a video. I'm sure it's on Palace TV as well, with Wilf, Edouard, Eze and Gallagher talking about their FIFA ratings. I haven't played FIFA for quite a few years now. Is just no idea if they're any good or not these days. But it was good banter of them having a good old laugh about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. It's another one of these. I mean, I feel like I'm being very wholesome at the moment, but it was great to watch a video from like the training ground where all the players just look like they're having fun. They're all in a good mood. At the end of the video, you've got Patrick Vieira leaning out the window asking Wilf and Eze what their overall rating is. It just seems to be a really like happy environment for them to be training and playing in, which is great. And yeah, if you haven't watched the video by the time you listen to this, make sure you do because it is really funny.
Well, I mean, Vieira sticks his head out the window and asks Will for what his card rating is, to which the answer is 82. But he then goes silent and Will starts going, so you can't see anything, it's a good card. I wonder if Patrick Vieira knows he has an icon card that is rated at 91. Yeah, he's one of the best cards in the game just because he's massively physical, tall, and got decent pace. And can pretty much do everything. Or at least from a few years back when I played the game. I wonder if he knows that. He should have just been lording it out, held out his icon card out the window. Yeah. Maybe FIFA will see that video and get an icon card sent over. But yeah, good video. Go and have a look out for that. Do you know what? I've slotted that into the running order there because I hadn't had it written down, and it's ruined my segue into the next section.
Oh.
So I was going to go from falling in love with loan players to the fallout from Brighton, but ruined it. It's gone. But there you go. But there is a lot of fallout from the Brighton game, as you would expect. Now, first is, it's come out today that Brighton stars, apparently, although I didn't realize they had any stars, to be honest. That's actually unfair. Trossard's really fucking good. But from him aside, they were spat on, had drinks thrown at them and stuff in the corner of the Homesdale is what they're alleging. It probably doesn't need to be alleged because there was cameras everywhere. So if it's happened, it's going to be very easy to prove, I imagine. But this is, I don't know about you, this is where I feel like I need to be better as a human being because I think they fucking deserved it.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering what he was going to say. Yeah, they absolutely deserved it.
Yeah. They didn't celebrate like that when Knockout got the winner at Selhurst in the last minute that time.
No.
I just understand where this is so disrespectful and classless. Like, yeah, go nuts. Got no problem with Mopé again giving it all like cup in his ears. That's absolutely fine. Then run and celebrate in front of your fans. But Duffy jumping up and down in front of the Homesdale is just embarrassing. Like Lewis Dunk sprinting to the other end of the field and almost jumping in the White Horse.
Yeah.
Like, you do it with, have your cup in your ears and do that, and then have your celebration in the corner with your fans, and then that doesn't happen at the end. You don't get treated like that.
And that's the thing. Like, Wilf went over to their fans when he scored because he has come under so much personal abuse every single time he plays against them.
But I don't even think what Wilf's done is that bad. It's no different to what Mopé's doing. I'm fine with that. Cup your ears and give it to him. They would expect that. But he hasn't done anything. There's not like the other 10 players running over and all giving it to him or anything like that. And it's never been like that. Palace have never done that in recent years, in recent memory.
And that's the thing. If you look, like Duffy ran the length of the pitch to come to the Homesdale, like you say, rather than celebrating with his fans when he hadn't had like personal jip off us. Like, I don't like him. Obviously, he plays for Brighton, but that he went over the top. The goalie was giving it as well. The goalie who was fucking niggling the whole game himself anyway.
And fucking dreadful. He was dreadful with his feet. He just couldn't he got harried so much and just could not handle it.
He did. And he was absolutely rattled. Like he pushed MacArthur at a corner when MacArthur was literally stood still. It probably expecting a reaction, and MacArthur just told him to, F off and carried on with it. So, they like you say, they charged up an atmosphere that was already very loud, very passionate, because it was a great atmosphere, I thought, on Monday. And then, Dunk was giving it in the corner as well. It's like, you're not going to do that, and everyone's just going to put their hands up and say, "Oh, okay, fair enough. It's just a game. It's not going to happen." So, I've got no sympathy with them whatsoever.
Yeah, no, it's just I think they brought it on themselves, and I say I should definitely be a better human being and say that no, the people who did this deserve to be banned or whatever. No, the fuck do they? Like the Brighton players' conduct needs to be looked at, if anything, because if they got a winner and they'd been getting it off the crowd all game long, I'd probably be more okay with it. But you're celebrating a 1-1 draw like you've won a fucking cup final.
You still haven't beaten us for 5 games, guys. So.
And Graham Potter, like, interview after, just absolutely, it's an intimidating place. Shittest mod ever. Like, get the fuck out of here, mate.
Human wet tissue. That's what.
Yeah, and of course Yannick Bolasie was going after him on Twitter as well after the game.
Yeah, I mean Yannick, for all intents and purposes, is a Palace player. He can go to Portugal and Belgium and Turkey or wherever. He only ever really tweets about Palace, so we all know where his loyalties lie. But yeah, he was like, it's past your bedtime. You're celebrating a draw like you've won the league. Like, calm down.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. I mean, and I'm not. I don't want to feel like I'm saying they shouldn't have an aspect of lording it over us in some sense, because they absolutely should. Like it's kind of like the reverse of the last Brighton game at Selhurst, which we could actually attend, when they played us off the park for 75 minutes and we're only 1-0 up, and then Zaha equalised. It's kind of similar sense to that, where we was all saying that you played the best game you've ever played in your life, and you still couldn't beat us.
Yeah.
It's kind of the reverse, because we were pretty freaking solid. I mean, I think there's still some way to go for us, for sure. Especially still when it comes to creating chances, we're still not creating loads. I think our conversion rate from shots on target is almost 50%, which is just ludicrous, really. So we need that to come down. We need that to be lower, because we need to be having more shots on target is what we need. But which is a weird thing to say. But Yeah, but just get a winner. I just don't be doing that over a draw. I don't know. They can celebrate. They can celebrate. I'm happy for them to celebrate, but I think they crossed all sorts of lines.
Yeah, and like I say, I mean, our smash and grab last year was brilliant because we were awful and we won the game. It didn't even beat us. So, and they didn't go top as a result, which is a fucking relief. So and our striker who can't hit a fucking barn door scored a double nutmeg back heel. So yeah, true. The only thing he's done at all as a Palace player.
Does he even make the bench anymore? He's not even on the bench, is he? Or is he
on the bench on Monday?
Oh, right, okay.
But I wonder if that was just a psychological, we're going to bring him on so he's going to do it again.
And then, of course, there was the reasons why I love Twitter, and I love it less than I used to, but still some amazing moments happen. And there was this DJ Dixon 90 on Twitter. There's no point going to look for him because his account doesn't exist anymore. He tweeted after the games, or the next day, actually, he went home, he thought about this, and at lunchtime the next day tweeted, Selhurst Park is an absolute shithole. It's an absolute dive of a community. The stench is unbearable. The design is beyond tragic. And Joseph Fritzl's Conquest probably had a better view out of that room than we did. Imagine being proud to call that your home. And he's hashtag BHAFC and hashtag CPFC. Now, you can go after Selhurst being a shithole all you like. Fine. If that's not your thing, you're not into old school grounds, whatever. It's our shithole, don't care. Plenty of non-Palace fans came to its defence and was like, "We were talking about Selhurst Park's a class away day," and like all posting pictures of the fucking disco we give them backstage, which needs to stop. It needs to be a shithole and stay a shithole. Yeah. But this ended up getting a little bit of traction, people responding to it, and then someone whose Twitter escapes me now, I apologise, went off and somehow in his old tweets found tweets from this guy, two of them, saying cleverly Zaha Welbeck and Defoe should not be in the England squad, and that's coming from a United fan. And another tweet saying, as a United fan, I've got to admit I love watching Chelsea play when they've got this conviction and confidence, hashtag title challengers. So this is a guy who's now in his profile in his bio has got hashtag Brighton and whatever, lauding it up about Brighton getting an equaliser. And within the space of about a minute, someone found this, and then someone found a whole heap of homophobic tweets that he had as well. Which, I mean, see his profile picture is a little bit of the lady doth protest too much, methinks. And then his account went private, and then within minutes, his account was just completely gone.
I mean, there is a lot to unpack there, isn't there? Bloody hell.
And the final thing that was the nail in the coffin as well, which is why I think he deleted his account, because he had who he works for in his bio, which is the worst thing you can do. And
rookie mistake.
And in his bio for the company he works for, it said their strapline is building and nurturing communities, and he's in there talking about how this community is a dive and it stinks. Whoops. I mean, I didn't go as far as emailing his employer, but I know people did because they were talking about on Twitter. And to clear this up, what happened is not doxing, because doxing is seeking out private information and sharing it. He published all this himself. None of it was private information. He published this. He put it in the sphere. People just brought it to light.
Well, don't call our community shit. Is the moral of that story, isn't it?
How dare you talk about South Norwood this way? Exactly. Especially now I live here. Someone said, "Fuck me, you've got in 2-footed studs up." I was like, he's a United fan, a homophobic United and Brighton fan. I'd go in 3-footed if I could.
a homophobic United and Brighton fan who has to admit that they like watching Chelsea. I mean, just stop. You've done enough.
Yeah. So anyway, let's just touch on the game for a couple of minutes. Good performance. I mean, I got home and I had it on record and was, the final parts of the Sky coverage were on, and I was going to turn it off, but then Jamie Carragher and Thierry Henry were waxing lyrical about how well we played and deserved to win. So I left it on listened, and that was encouraging to hear. But as I said, just a little bit further up, still we need to create more chances for what we had, particularly in the first hour of that game. We need to create more chances. Yeah,
I think we need to be a bit more sort of direct to the box when we get in the final third. We played some really nice stuff, and our pressing was excellent for the vast majority of the game, and for a team like Brighton, who are supposedly so good on the ball and so good in possession, we made them look massively jittery. And it's just a shame that, and I'm sure Albert would absolutely love this comment if he were here, but it's just a shame that the one real clear-cut chance we had with Ayew wasn't put away, because it was such a good opportunity. And, the Ayew of 2 years ago scoring that without a shadow.
Well, he's up to, I think he's 1 in 50 now. He's closing in on, isn't he?
And Vieira's mentioned it. Vieira's mentioned it in the press, saying, Ayew's not got as much confidence, and it's up to the manager to help him get that confidence back. Certainly that miss won't help, but yeah, I think for the majority of the game, we were very, very good. We do need to have a bit more of a killer instinct, like you say, but I think. The more we get used to this type of play, and then you look at players like Ebbs coming in and Elise getting more game time, hopefully that will sort of push us over the edge into it, and we'll see a few games where we really comfortably beat teams, because I think we're capable of it. We just need to.
I mean, I think that game was calling out for Eze. There was a lot of people around me were talking about it, just saying if Eze's in this game, it's over already. Because he has that extra creativity. And I like what you say about getting it direct to the box more. Not all the time, but we just have it as an option to mix it up, which wasn't really there in that game. A lot of people talked about the Christian Benteke substitution coming on. Do you think he was really that bad, or are people being a bit harsh?
I was probably being quite harsh during the game because I was getting a bit frustrated. I like Benteke. I mean, you and I have defended Benteke quite a lot on this pod. I did think that the pressing of the team felt a little bit, but I certainly think Benteke didn't help that. And I know that it's not his game, but I think you just say to him, like, look how shit they are when you run at them. Just run at them, because that's what Edouard was doing. I don't think Edouard got much in terms of getting the ball, but his work rate was excellent. I do think it fell off a bit from the whole team, probably with the exception of Gallagher, because he's a robot. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed with Benteke, to be honest. But then look, if we hadn't have messed up at the end and we won the game 1-0, I don't think that many people would have given a shit. So
yeah, I think there was an element that it was tactical anyway, and that the pressing had fell off quite a lot because we were sitting deeper and just holding on, because Brighton did come into the game more and more as it went on. It was annoying how many times we allowed them to get the ball into the box, to be honest. Kept giving them loads of niggly free kicks. So I think Benteke was probably thrown on to just so we could go long and get the ball up to him first, and then get him to try and hold it up. But he never really got close. And I mean, it's probably one of the worst centre-back pairings to do that for Benteke, because Dunk and Duffy are both landed at Giants, and it's not like other centre-backs where he can dominate. These two are both really good in the air and can both really get up, particularly Dunk. So it's not easy pickings for him like it normally is. But yeah, he did. I mean, yeah, he just did not get up to the speed of the game. And I guess in a game of such high intensity, it's difficult to do that off the bench at times. And they're really tough. But I mean, so many ifs and buts with the last kick of the game, where if the referee doesn't give the free kick on Guaita, where Zaha's already broken away and trying to dribble, we have a throw in deep in their half. And the game's over. If Guaita just connects with the ball properly, the ref probably blows the full-time whistle while the ball's in the air. But I don't know if you're like me. The moment it left Grater's foot, I knew they'd score.
Yeah, I mean, one of my mates said after the game, he was like, for the entire game, we'd had both of our centre-backs in the 6-yard box to take the ball from a goalie and a goal kick or a free kick. If we'd done that one more time and made Brighton come 20 yards further up the pitch and then hoofed it, we would have won the game. Yeah, I mean, I was a bit like you. Obviously, the kick was terrible from Guaita, but the sort of punt back up the pitch from the Brighton player just was perfect. It
was very well controlled. Yeah,
I saw in the replay. I think Gay sort of ducks under it or stops a bit or something. So obviously he's at fault there too. But yeah, the control of the pass was very good. And then, well, to be honest, my mate who I stand next to thumped me in the arm when they scored. So my first concern was how much pain my arm was in. But yeah, just gutting, really gutting, to be honest. And I don't think they deserved it, like we said, but it's just one of those. Is it a concentration thing? Is it just a genuine error? Genuine mistake? Who knows? It's just a shame it had to be this game it happened in.
It's crazy going back through the years. It's just not just recent history, but all the way back. It's a fixture with so many injury time goals or very late goals.
Yep.
I mean, they've done it 3 of the last 4 trips to Selhurst. They've scored late.
Yep.
Behind closed doors, they got basically the same thing. 96th minute, wasn't it? Last kick of the game.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Zaha equalised very late against them in Selhurst in the other one. Knockout got the late winner in the other one.
Yeah.
We've obviously got Benteke at their place last season. Got Joby McAnuff back in the day in the 3-2. The Paul McShane one we were talking about earlier, I seem to remember, was pretty late in the game as well. I'm sure that was like 83, 84 or something like that. So, yeah, it's certainly a fixture that you've got to stay switched on to the end because it always seems like there's late goals in it. But like with everything this season, I'm still encouraged.
Yeah.
I'm liking the style. Even if we end up with the same amount of points as we got last season, I'd much rather watch us getting those number of points like this than sitting back deep and not showing any ambition.
Well, I think that was one of the things that a lot of people had gotten tired of with Roy. I certainly had, was just like, the sort of tactics of just keep it tight and try not to concede, and then you concede, and it was just more of the same. We're at least now, I sort of think, well, we've got a much better chance of, even if we concede, of scoring. You look at West Ham, we came straight back into it. So yeah, it's just much more entertaining. And like you say, I think it's only been 6 or 7 games, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So there's plenty of time for them to get better and to understand the tactics more and all the rest of it. And like you say, get players back from injury, get players like Will Hughes up to speed in the team, Elise. So positive for sure.
Well, I've seen people, old stalwart Palace fans, who were already talking about Anderson and Gay being our best ever partnership at the back. And these are people that had died on the hill of Thorne
and Young.
Thorne and Young, exactly. So for them sort of people to be saying that kind of stuff about them is, yes, Gay shouldn't have ducked under that one and left it. I'm sure he had a reason. He probably thought he was going to carry through or something. But, it's one mistake in I suppose you've had an Anderson mistake at West Ham as well. But it's chalk and cheese compared to what we've had in the past. Just the way they would have got into most of our midfields throughout our history, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Talking about how it's only been sort of 6 or 7 games, for them to look as comfortable as a pairing, not just in their own individual performances, but they look good together. They look like a strong partnership already. That's really promising too. We've just now got to hope that they're not as injury prone as all the guys that have come before them, because then we're in trouble.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's again the cautionary tales are always in the back of my mind, and it's just like. Yeah. When I was thinking about it in the game, it's like, I wonder at what point one of these is going to get injured. But hopefully that won't be the case. Now, moving into Leicester, they're up against one of the toughest, one of the best Premier League strikers that there's been down the years, particularly for scoring goals and loving to score against us as well. Jamie Vardy is obviously still spearheading the Leicester attack, and he's got they've scored 7 times in the league this season. He's got 5 of them, so another tough afternoon keeping him out.
Yeah, it will be. That was obviously the one thing that we sort of know about Anderson, is that he's not the quickest. I think his positional play seems to be very good, so it obviously makes up for it a great deal. But would imagine that Gay sort of gets put looking after Vardy as much as any one of them can. But yeah, I mean, we all know how good Vardy is, and looking at Leicester's form, even though the results haven't been great, they've been fairly unlucky in a lot of games. You and I were talking about before we started recording. So yeah, it's going to be very difficult. I think I'm not really considering that they've lost a lot, because you look at their squad, it's still very good. And when you've got someone like Vardy, he does have that knack of just popping up, even if you're having a shit game, getting one chance to run through and scoring. So yeah, it's going to be very tough looking after him, as per.
Now, it's going to be effectively, other than the first game of the season, but if you take the first game of the season was away at the European champions, and then every game that followed, the team was either top or joint top, or in Brighton's case, would have gone top with a win.
Yeah.
This is the first time we're playing a team that is nowhere near the top of the league.
Big mid-table clash.
I mean, they've had a mixed start to the season, but of what you've seen of them, does it feel like the results are not telling the whole story?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of them. I've watched whole games, but certainly you look at how many chances they're making. They're still making quite a few. They're still having a lot of the ball. Like we talked about last week against Brighton, they had perfectly good goals disallowed. So I know football's a lot of ifs and buts, but it does sort of seem like they're not quite as bad as just looking at a table or looking at results would lead you to believe.
Yeah. Well, as you said, look at the Burnley game last week. It's a very unfortunate own goal for the first one that they can see. Jamie Vardy putting the ball in both nets, and a stunning volley at the back post from Cornet. Is it Cornet? Cornet, yeah. Cornet, yeah. Brilliant volley from him, and then walks off injured a few minutes later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I feel like people are thinking that Leicester all off sort of form, and again, I think on the night of recording here, they've lost away at Legia Warsaw. They've lost 1-0, but again, they've dominated the game with a mixed first team and reserve team. And I mean, I've only looked at the stats, I haven't watched it, but you've got to imagine with the amount of shots they had on target in this game, they probably should have scored a goal. So I don't think we should be going in there with Leicester are going to be easy pickings, because that's certainly not going to be the case. But it's going to be another good test to see where we're at with the progress we're making under Vieira. Now, we're winless in 4 against them after doing the double against them in the 18-19 season. Mm-hmm. When was that? Was that the 4? Was that 4-1? And it wasn't the 5-0, was it? It was we won 4-1 at our place. 1-0, yeah.
I think Lucas scored at home.
Yes, so we haven't got Albert's magic dice this week.
Oh no, I don't think I own any dice.
So we'll just have to go with your prediction from your brain.
Well, seeing as I've been positive and wholesome, I'm not going to go too positive. I'm not going to say we're going to win, but I think we'll get a 1-1. I think a come from behind draw. I think we'll go 1-0 down and equalise.
Interesting. I mean, I think Leicester have been their games all over the place a bit this season. They take the lead, they go behind, they equalise, or vice versa. They can't hold on to a lead, but also good at coming from behind. So I'll go over 2-2. I think you're right. I think a score draw is probably where we're going to be about. If we can find a way to beat them, great. But alas, it will be in my absence. I won't be at the game. What an absolute shocker. I know. Took a gamble, but we didn't actually. We booked a holiday a while back, and it's one of those ones that has been COVID cancelled several times, and it's just ended up being now. So, and I need it. I need a holiday.
Well, so I would say I have to give a quick shout out. Sort of thinking about that, we have a mate of mine finally got a Palace season ticket. He's wanted it for a few years. Then we had obviously the sort of lockdown where no one went. And then he finally got a season ticket and then did his knee in, so had to have surgery and couldn't do the first couple of games. And I said, well, we've yet to concede a goal at home, and his first game was obviously at Brighton. So it's his fault. His fault that we let that goal in. But he is also missing the game on Sunday. So if we win with a clean sheet, then
he's never coming again.
I'm calling you out, Alex Kelleher. You're never coming back.
Talking of injuries there, the extent of Connor Wickham's has been revealed. And he's had to have surgery on his hamstring. Unbelievable. Guy's got no luck. But there you go. So speedy recovery. I don't care anymore. We paid you enough money, mate.
I'm sure the delights of Preston North End will keep him occupied.
Okay, so anyway, we've got a week off now. International break coming up. And then the following week, it's not the weekend, it's a Monday night against Arsenal, which I'm in your party of 7 for this one.
You are.
Thank you for buying my ticket.
You are more than welcome.
I did pay you for the ticket.
Yes, you did.
Thank you for getting me in with your gang.
I don't know if you've got the short straw and will be stood next to me. Guarantee you it won't be my wife stood next to me because she has enough of me most days. So you might get shoved next to me, mate.
Wait, I haven't. The guy who called me a C unit that time isn't there, is he?
No, he's not. But he is obviously waiting to see you again at some point.
I've seen him since. Good, that's all right then. And is Miserable Dave one of them?
No, he isn't.
Oh, wow. You have many Palace supporting friends.
Listen, I'm a very popular guy, mate. I cannot confirm nor deny whether they have paid me for the tickets or whether I have to pay them to hang out with me. That's a story for another time.
Well, if that's the case, I want my 30 quid back. But yeah, so week off for us. Obviously, listen out for the match report this weekend from Hambo and the crew. Head over to youtube.com/back of the nest to see all the interesting stuff DR's doing over there. Got some videos from the stands this week. None of that filming his own face, just filming a bit of the atmosphere, what it's like. And yeah, Palace focus will be on Tuesday, I believe, so keep an eye out for that, and then we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Normal slot, I imagine, or maybe it might slip to the Thursday because it's a Monday night game. Try and keep it as relevant as possible. But thanks for listening. Thank you for Albert not being on because
great, we really enjoyed it.
And until next time, up the Palace.